Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on the Modern Squid podcast, where we get to know the people behind our favorite writers and brands. Today's guest is Doodle on a motorcycle. Well,
Yeah.
let's get started real quick. So first question, like I mentioned before, is on a scale of full squid to full atgat, where do you fall?
100% atgat.
100%.
100%.
No matter how hot it gets.
Well, you know what? There was this 2 times when I was doing parking lot practice that I took off my armor jacket. But that's it. Other than that, yeah, no matter how hot it gets, I'll full gear all the time.
Nice.
But also, I don't live in Arizona like you do. So.
Well, the podcast is called The Modern Squid, but I am full atgat all the time.
Oh, contradictory.
Kind of. It's more the name is sort of it's a motorcycle term, but I'm repurposing it for my own uses. In that, in these podcasts, I hope it to be a little bit different than typical motorcycle podcasts. In that, I like to try to get to know the people as much as what they think about bikes. Mm-hmm. So the tagline's "Riding Vulnerable" because it's a more vulnerable interview. I hope as my interview skills get better,
Remove the proverbial shells.
That's right.
The proverbial armor.
Well, I listened to a few podcasts and it seems like everyone covers the same stuff. And it's because it's interesting to people on motorcycles. Oh, you're frozen. There you go. But at the same time, I did.
Yeah.
At the same time, it gets a little old hearing the same questions, I think, and the same answers if there's nothing else added. So that's why I was like, you know what? I could totally do a podcast, even though I hate public speaking.
Yeah, I understand that. It's not that public, right? It's just you and me. You won't.
Until it gets published.
Exactly. And you've already recorded it and done all your talking. So
that's right.
Well done.
So I spent some time looking into like more of your stuff. Besides Instagram and YouTube, because that's kind of my way. I like to be an over-preparer. So like I listened to your interview with Dan and the gentleman from the BMW Owners Association. So I feel like, I somewhat have an idea about who you are from those 2 interviews. So kudos to those guys.
Thank you. Or, well, actually, that's thank you to them. I just answered the questions.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you weren't willing to answer them, then, so you definitely had a part in it.
Thank you.
So one of the things that you talked about, and I think everyone, for the most part, when they see your channel, because they do the same thing with mine, is they see your name, Doodle on a motorcycle, and they say to themselves, why the heck is she called Doodle? And I'll let you tell the story because I know it, but it's better coming from you.
Okay. Well, that was a nickname given to me by my martial arts instructor. I used to do graphic design for him for his school, like social media and everything. And when I walked in, I had some art to present for him. And I thought he said, what have you got for me, Doodle? And I asked him, I was like, did you just call me Doodle? And he was like, no, but I will. And and after that, literally everybody at the martial arts school called me Doodle. Like I didn't hear my name for the next 6 months that I lived there. I only heard Doodle. I don't know. It just kind of stuck by accident. And actually to this day, I don't know what he actually said or if he even said anything. And just my head made it up. But yeah, it was just accidental and then it stuck.
So you mentioned that he was your instructor. Now, I also heard you mention prior to this that you were doing jiu-jitsu. Is it Brazilian jiu-jitsu or are you doing a Japanese jiu-jitsu?
Brazilian. Yeah. So I'm still doing it.
Nice.
Yeah. I moved from the town that I got the nickname from though. And I'm at another school. But actually the instructor there calls me Doodle too, because he discovered that by talking to the other instructor. So I'm still practicing. And it's
so how long have you been doing it?
I want to say I started in 2014.
Okay.
So yeah, 6 years now.
Wow. Yeah. So are you a professor now or?
No, not even close.
Oh, really? No. 6 years? Okay. So blue, purple, where were you at?
Purple. Yeah.
Purple. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
That means you're dangerous. You're a dangerous noodle. We gotta
people over.
Right. Now, when I say danger noodle in my videos, it's not going to mean snakes. It's going to be Doodle.
That sounds very accurate. Well, I don't know how dangerous I am, but you can call me that. I'll pretend. I'll go with it.
I don't know. I mean, when you reach purple belt, I mean, I feel like I did some jiu-jitsu as well for a little while, but my job I can't maintain a schedule because my hours are just so wonky, and it came down to like going once a month, and it's fairly expensive, and I just couldn't justify, spending all that money. Plus, if you don't go regularly, it's so miserable when you come back. Like everyone's in shape and you're dying because you haven't been there.
Like forgot everything. People are like catching you and things. You're like,
yeah, you just keep getting smashed.
Yeah.
You get those people with the knee on belly staring down at you with a smile, like, "Ooh, I got you."
Exactly. I just came back from like a little over a month break while moving. And I felt it. It was so obvious. It was like everything. I was rolling with a girlfriend, and she was like catching me in everything, and I was like, I forgot what to do. I forgot how to defend myself here. Yeah, it was embarrassing. Oh well.
Oh, that's cool. So what brought you to jiu-jitsu?
I had wanted some kind of self-defense, and I did like RADS in college. I don't even remember what it stands for. Yeah, but I remember trying it on like my really lanky boyfriend at the time, and it didn't work. I was like, I am 3.75 inches, 109 pounds. Like, I cannot just like kick or punch someone. Like, it's not gonna work. They're like laugh at me, and then they can kill me if they want. They'll do anything. So I need something like that isn't like strength based, that it will be practical. I don't know. I just like stumbled upon it. Like I was just trying everything. For a while, I did kickboxing and taekwondo, even though I thought like this really isn't going to work against someone like twice my weight if they decide to attack me, but I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to do it. And I hate exercise in the gym, so this will be a good distraction to just keep me exercising without exercising or feeling like I am. And then someone just invited me to a jiu-jitsu self-defense based class, and when I was doing it, I remember like seeing the moves the instructor was showing he had like his, I think if I remember correctly, it was like a very petite man, like 5'6" or so, showing the moves on like a much larger guy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sure that works because you're showing it to us. And I remember thinking like, I'm not gonna be able to throw this person, or I'm not gonna be able to pin this person down. And but then I did what they told them, and it was so easy. Like it just worked. Like I was able to like pin someone down that was way bigger than me. Like the first day I was able to throw someone off of me that was way bigger than me. And I just remember like being shocked at how easy it was. Wait, did I answer your question?
You did. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. I assume that you roll with men too when you are at your gym?
Never. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do, but I prefer rolling with girls just because they don't stink and they're not as sweaty. And a lot of times the guys will either go so hard or they'll go so light. I'm like, you're not gonna break me. But yeah, I'll roll with the guys too.
So when you roll with the guys though, especially like, let's say you're purple belt now, if you get a new white belt in, does it like reinforce that the jiu-jitsu works when you're rolling with someone who doesn't really know jiu-jitsu and you're able to just kind of manhandle them, or?
Yeah, definitely. And that's cool. But a lot of times I won't roll with like a brand new white belt because those guys will sometimes go so hard. I'm like, sure, okay, I can like choke you or I can flip you off, but in the meantime I'm gonna get bruised and beat up, and it's just not fun for me. But yeah, there are some like more like upper white belt guys that I've rolled with before, and that's been fun to like train a little bit.
I was part of an MMA club in school, and we were kind of we were a mixed group, mixed genders as most classes are. And we had one girl who was training with us for a while, for like the whole semester, basically. And then we had a guy who was probably 6'2", 6'3", come in. He actually looked like Gerard Butler. a younger Gerard
Oh,
Butler. Like he was,
cool.
you know, a good looking dude and muscular and tall.
Mhm.
And when the two of them were rolling together, he was laughing and he was just like, "Oh, you know, I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should do this. Like, this isn't even fair." And then we're like, "You're right. It's not fair." And he ended up in a rear naked choke and had to tap out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And after that, he took it a lot more seriously.
Good. Yeah, that's a good way to discover it, to see
Yeah.
how nice it works.
Okay.
Neat.
So, how is actually before we get to that, is your school affiliated with the Gracies, or are they affiliated with a different team?
Yeah, I guess technically, because we're affiliated with Pedro Sauer, and he's been training with the Gracies since he was a little kid.
Okay.
So I guess indirectly in that way, yes. Then before that, we were affiliated with another school in Roswell or somewhere here in Atlanta, Tiger Academy, and they're like officially Gracie Academy, but yeah, more recently now we're affiliated with Pedro Sauer.
Okay. My school started off affiliated with Nova União, and then they moved over, and now they're affiliated with Aries, I guess. But I haven't been training in a while. But it always makes me curious as to who everyone's affiliated with, just as nosiness as someone.
What do you do for your full time?
Accounting. Yeah, I'm an accounting manager. And
that schedule would be so inflexible. Is it just really long hours?
So the problem is that we're a fairly small company. And so even though the job title is accounting manager, it's kind of, a lot of different things. Like we handle payroll. We kind of manage / interface with HR and benefits as well. And so, I've got times when I'm running payroll, and then I've got times when I'm doing the month end close. And then we've got these project review meetings because we're also kind of like the go between upper management and the project managers. We kind of facilitate a meeting, between all the project managers and upper management every month. It takes a few days. So it's like, you get all that stuff. And then it's like, well, now you got to do your day-to-day job, and you got to squeeze it in when you can,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
Now, speaking of jobs, I heard that you're a graphic designer, and I also heard somewhere you mentioned that you had found your dream job. Is this your dream job that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so I've been saying graphic designer a lot just to avoid stalkers, like to mess up their trail, but I think it's fine. As I'm actually not a graphic designer, I'm a product designer, so I design home decor items. And yeah, so I've been doing it for coming on 3 years. And yeah, I definitely say, at least when I started out, it was a dream job, and it's still a fun job. It's just for me, just working in a corporate office, the time and the inflexibility of it really gets to me. Yeah, I hate that part. The like needing to ask for permission if I want a day off, or being so limited with my days off, and being so like strict on a schedule of when to come in and when to leave, and at the same time I burn myself out because like I don't want to be like one of the slackers. I want to be one of the best, so I try to be one of the first people in, and I try to be one of the last to leave, and try to stay focused and not like talk a lot to people, and work through my lunch whenever I can. Not that that's a good thing to do. I learned recently with studies, but yeah, so I kind of do it to myself too. Yeah, so thank goodness for motorcycles. Riding to work has really changed my attitude.
So I've heard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've always taken the approach with work, not always, but my last 2 jobs, in that if someone's inflexible with me, then I'm inflexible with them. So it's like people who treat me well, then I'm more than happy to work late, do what I need to do, pull extra duties if someone is overwhelmed or whatever, But for companies that want to make everything like, okay, you're in at 8 a.m., 8:01, you're late and you're getting yelled at, or whatever, then on the flip side, I'm like, okay, well, I leave at 5. And so if you ask me for something at 5:01, see you tomorrow at 8. Because it's a two-way street, in my opinion. I mean, it's a relationship just like any others, and there's healthy relationships and there's unhealthy relationships. And if your job is being a controlling boyfriend, then,
Yeah. And, though, I think at the same time, like compared to other jobs, I think I have like a pretty good one. I mean, they're pretty flexible about when people come in. I mean, some people come in like well after 9. Like that to me is late, but I mean, it's fine. They're still there. They're not fired as far as I know or in trouble. And fairly flexible with when you leave, and we're allowed to bring dogs in the office.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I think for me, it's just I really just want to be financially independent and be in charge of my own schedule and just be in charge of my own schedule, my own paycheck, and but preferably not a much lower paycheck than what an employer can give. So yeah, just kind of working on that behind the scenes too.
So is your strategy to leverage YouTube for something like that? Or are you following your career path and just sort of coming up with plan Bs with your same career?
I don't want to do like just freelancing with my career, if that's what you're thinking of, like plan B, because I've done that before. Actually, I did take a year off after my last job and just freelanced. But yeah, for one thing, the pay is just okay, and I did have that flexibility I loved. But at the same time, it was like, is this it? Like, this isn't very challenging, and at the same time, I'm like seeking for like the next gig a lot. So if YouTube became more sustainable, that'd be awesome. And I am working on that too. But my main goal is just the tried and true, no need to reinvent the wheel kind of thing of real estate investing.
Oh, nice.
So that's just something I've literally only started researching the past like 7 months. It's kind of a new thing I'm looking into. But yeah, I'd really like to get into short-term rentals, because you just make so much more than long-term with that. Yeah, so that's my main thing I want to do, is start developing enough passive income from probably short-term rentals is what I'm thinking, just based on what I've been researching, but who knows, that could change. And that I don't have to have a corporate job, that I'm not dependent on it. I could see myself getting to that level and then thinking, you know what, I think I'm just going to stay at work for another year or so.
Yeah.
But that could happen too. But yeah, I want to be in charge of my own money coming in.
Speaking of dogs, mine's over there licking something off the floor.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have an old black lab who is now sort of a gray lab.
Oh.
Let me ask you this. Now that the current situation has been going on for much longer than I think anyone anticipated, has the thought crossed your mind that you might want to consider ways to make sure that whatever your plan B is, whether it's real estate or whatever, isn't dependent on people being at a certain place?
Yeah. But I think that's part of why I like real estate, because it is so foolproof. It's something, it's not just something fun. It's something neat. Like, people will always need a place to stay. And then even right now during COVID, like, people I know who have like short-term rentals, they were still booked, like in the worst month was like 60% of the time, and they were still profiting even during the first month of quarantining here in Georgia. So that feels pretty foolproof to me. But at the same time, I also think it's important to I fully believe in emergency funds. So if buying something with just cash means I'm no longer going to have 6 months of like backup, 6 months of expenses backed up, then I'm not buying that right now. I'll wait till I can, or if something I really need or really want, or if it's important, then I'll get it, and then I'll save up until I get back to that emergency fund, I like to call it. Like, I always want to make sure I'm protected. If there's like one bad month and that puts me in the hole, then I was not prepared. I want to be prepared for multiple months of potentially bad things happening in a row. So that's not a problem then. That's kind of how I like to think. I don't know. I haven't lived through many crises, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, I am curious at how it's affecting everything because when I think of short-term rentals, I think of like Airbnbs and
Yes,
then short
exactly.
corporate things where someone's in
Yep.
town for a month to work on a specific project or something. And both of those seem to be heavily reliant on either vacations or business people being able to travel. And personally, I don't think this is going to be the last pandemic that we see. The world's too small now. I mean, planes connect us everywhere, and one small part of the world that doesn't even get that many tourists, if they have something happen, could easily spread it to the rest of the world again. So it's one of the things I've been thinking about as far as my career and things that I want to do is what can I do that's not dependent? Because I had a small photography business on the side as well, but the problem with that is I have to interact with people constantly, and I have to be able to go out into either studios or bring people into my home studio. And when there's a pandemic, that's not feasible.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of rethinking that side strategy.
Yeah, that's a good thinking, I think.
But I'm glad to hear that their slowest month was 60% capacity, because if you plan for that, then you could definitely make it doable. So
yeah, and I think the important thing was just like location. It was like picking a place that's already high in demand, and those were like condos in Midtown Atlanta, versus creating the demand. Like maybe it's a really cool vintage trailer that has been remodeled, but it's out in the country and you really only go there to maybe see the trailer. So I mean, I would love to do that too, but later when I'm not relying on the income coming from that cool trailer out in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of thinking too. Yeah.
Okay. So when you started jiu-jitsu, what did your parents think?
No clue what my dad thinks. He is the most reserved person in the world. I think he probably thought it was cool. Because I know he did martial arts when he was a kid. I tend to do a lot of things like him, where I do something and he's like, I used to do that as a child too. Not that I ever knew, because he doesn't talk much, but when I started doing it is when I found out. And my mom was pretty scared for me. She's very traditional Hispanic woman, very girly, and and she was very supportive, but just I know my mom, I know what her face looks like when she's uncomfortable. So when I invited her to my blue belt ceremony, she had her iPad and she was recording me, but her face was just like terrified.
Do you guys do the gauntlet at your school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we did that whenever she was watching. I think she just watched the test basically. And me like rolling with everybody. I think if I remember correctly. No, probably not. I'm sure. I don't remember now. At least not for blue belt. And then I didn't invite her for purple belt. So I don't know.
So did your school, did the folks there leave welts on you, or did they kind of back off and go easy, or?
No, they went easy on me. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know for I think I remember when some guys got their black belt. Those guys got hit really hard. But I remember also, I think whenever I got my belt, I saw that and I like told everybody else, like, don't hit me hard right before I went to the gauntlet. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that is unacceptable.
Right. I mean, some schools have done away with it, like they see it as kind of hazing or whatever.
If this is what it takes for me to be accepted, then I will be unaccepted. I am fine with that.
Now, I'd heard you say somewhere that you were Dominican. Are both your parents Dominican, or is one of them Dominican, or?
Yep, both Dominican. They were both raised in the same real tiny town. And their moms knew each other and they knew a lot of the same people, but they never met until they both came to America to go to college. And
where'd they go to college?
I don't remember. Somewhere in Florida, I can tell you that much.
Okay. So were you born in Florida? Were you born in Georgia? Where were you born?
I was actually born in Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't remember. I only lived there for like 6 months after I was a baby. But yeah, we moved around a lot. But yeah, born in Connecticut, lived longest in Florida, moved around a lot. Probably have been in Georgia the longest now of my life.
did you move around because of one of your parents' jobs or? Okay.
Yeah, my dad worked in the international department with Pepsi, and that was just also his dream as a kid. He wanted to live around the world,
Yeah.
and he took his family with
Okay.
him.
That's funny. I was watching some of your videos and stuff, and I was telling my girlfriend that you and I seem to have very similar paths
Oh.
in life and on motorcycles and things. And now I'm hearing that, and I'm like, oh, it's just like me. My dad was in the Army, so we moved around a lot. And even though I was born in California, I was only there 6 months before we went to Korea. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's
Do you
it's
remember much
interesting.
of it? Like, was it
No,
early
6 months
childhood
old is
or?
a little bit too young to remember things.
Oh yeah. I mean, like moving around the world. Do you remember much of it? Was it
Yeah.
like later in your life too? Oh,
Yeah,
neat.
so my earliest memories are from Panama because we moved there when I was probably 2 or 3 or something like
Mhm.
that. And I think we were there 3 or 4 years. And so some of my earliest memories, even though they're fuzzy, they're from Panama.
Oh, neat.
Um,
Did you
and
speak Spanish then?
I didn't, and it's
Mm.
interesting because my girlfriend now is from Mexico, and we've been
Mhm.
trying to work on my Spanish since we were in quarantine. Because I've been trying
Mhm.
to learn Spanish for a long, long time, and it's just I'm terrible at learning languages.
Mhm.
And so we're kind of taking this opportunity to try to get me to learn more Spanish.
Nice. How is she? What does she think of your Spanish?
She's so nice. She just tells me it's good
Oh.
when I say certain things, and then once in a while she'll just be like, That's not right." Oh,
That's what? Oh,
that's
that's
not
not
right.
right.
Yeah, yeah. But she's
Aw.
super nice about it. And I don't really speak that much Spanish. I can understand more than I can speak,
Oh.
but I'm also slow. So it's like it
Mhm.
takes me a minute. I'll process whatever someone's saying. I'm like, oh, I know what they
Mhm.
said. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Actually.
So you said you lived longest in Georgia. How long have
Yeah.
you been in Georgia?
Since 2000. Oh my gosh, since 2007 when I first moved here for college in Savannah. Then first job Athens, Georgia. Next job's Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah.
Okay.
13 years. Holy cow. That's the longest I've ever been anywhere or done anything.
Yeah, I think I moved here to Arizona in 2006.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. And you've been there
So
since this whole
I've
time?
been here since, yeah. I mean, my girlfriend really wants to move somewhere. She keeps saying,
Mhm.
let's go somewhere else, anywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling my fiance. I'm like, we need to move to a different state.
Yeah.
Let's go. I want to live around the world. Let's go to Costa Rica. He's like, what about jobs? I'm
No,
like,
Nicaragua.
yeah, that too. That works.
Yeah, yeah. So I was in Nicaragua back in November, December timeframe.
Hmm.
Mostly because I used to be really into cigars, and I had some friends who live out there part time,
Mm-hmm.
and so they run a house and stuff. So I went and stayed with them.
Oh,
But
cool.
talking to them, they were saying, I haven't been to Costa Rica yet, but they've been to Costa Rica and Nicaragua because they're next to each other. And they're like, Nicaragua is basically just like Costa Rica, but way cheaper.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, good to know. Might as well
Yeah.
just go there then.
Exactly.
Must just be because it hasn't been on trend like Costa Rica has.
Exactly. Costa Rica is definitely more developed.
Okay.
It's a bit more developed, and there's a lot more
Mm-hmm.
tourism out there.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Americans hear about it more, but
Mm-hmm.
Nicaragua was beautiful. So
Oh, good to know.
yeah. Um,
Cool.
Now you're talking about wanting to move.
Mm-hmm.
Do you how serious do you think it is in your mind about moving from Atlanta? Because you're also talking about buying property in
Yeah.
Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
So do you imagine buying the property in Midtown and then just getting someone to run it for you, or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Especially for something short term, there's no way I'd be able to manage that on my own with a full-time job unless it was like my basement, which I don't have a basement, which that would be great because I know of so many people literally covering their mortgage and then some by just renting out their basement for short term. Um, so yeah, so I for sure wanted to get a management company to do that, whatever short-term rental I do. And yeah, unless I'm not working my full time for now, I don't want to take that on. Rather just put the money in and then as an investment later on, and then start getting passive income.
Okay. So do you like to travel? And if so, where have you traveled?
Um, lately I've just been too tired and way too little PTO time to travel. But yeah, I used to travel more, and I have that like interest, but just haven't gotten around to much of it. But last New Year's Eve, my fiance and I went on a scuba diving trip in Cozumel. So that was like for a week. And then before that, um, just visiting family in Dominican Republic. Visited my sister on the West Coast, like in California. Or yeah, she was in California. And visited her. She's really easy to visit whenever, because she travels a lot more than me. Visited her when she was studying abroad in Venice.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I waited until she'd been there a while, and she just like gave me all the cool, like a list of cool places to go, and I just like literally walked everywhere she told me to for about 10 days. And yeah, most of the traveling I've done has been like when I was younger and with my family. Yeah, so that's part of what really gets to me about the 9 to 5. I'm like, I mean, I've had one PTO day left for the whole year since February.
Oh, wow.
I know, it just drives me nuts. I'm like, but then quarantine happened, so I was like, perfect. I can't travel anyways. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I asked because I like to travel, so I'm always happy to find fellows that are also interested in traveling. I put it off for a long time because I'm like very conservative with money.
Yes.
But I kind of started thinking about it. I'm like, money's job is not just to kind of keep us fed and housed, but also to kind of, be used to enjoy our lives. And I figured I need to start making it a priority to travel. So I've been trying to travel for the last few years. I try to go somewhere international once a year, and then somewhere within the U.S. once a year. So
cool. You got any favorite places?
My all-time favorite trip has still been Japan. I think that's just, I don't know. I've loved Japan and Japanese food and movies and things since I was a kid, and anime and all that sort of stuff. So getting to go to Japan and see everything was just so fun. And it's like one of the safest cities and one of the cleanest cities. One of the things that struck me is I like to get up early and I'll walk cities. Wherever I go, it doesn't matter. I like to get up early in the morning and just go walk the cities. And I would get up super early and walk around Tokyo, and there would be people outside of the shops with soap and water scrubbing the sidewalks in front of their shops. They were cleaning the areas in front of their stores with soap and water.
Wow.
With one of those like brush brooms, it's like
Yeah.
And
wow.
I was like, man, no wonder it's so clean in Tokyo. Because, I've been to other big cities, like if you've been to Venice, so it's like that water's, depending on the time of year you go, is all green and smelly, and there's like rotten stuff floating in it. And, tourists are leaving trash in the corners, and like you peek over something, and there's trash there too. It's kind of, it's showing its age.
Yeah.
And later on, when I went to like London, it's the same sort of deal where it's just so dirty because there's so many people. New York's the same way,
But
wow,
that's neat. No wonder the Japanese are just good at everything.
Oh my God, it was so clean, and it's just so safe. I mean, it's one of those things where you drop a wallet full of money, they're going to go turn it into the police, and you can go collect it later.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, you said that you've been back to the Dominican Republic. How do you like it?
I love the weather. I would tell people to be cautious if you're going to go anywhere else besides something very highly touristy, like an all-inclusive resort, because it can be pretty dangerous. Like there's a lot of crookedness. Very opposite of Japan. Like even the police you got to be careful with. It's just kind of a thing that if you have a nice car, you'll be pulled over by the police, and they expect a good bribe to let you go. So there's that, and there's a lot of poverty, but definitely gorgeous. Like I remember going there in December once, and I was in the ocean like in December in the water, and I was not cold. Like it felt like summer.
Did you scuba dive while you were there?
I did. Yes, the last time I went there for a wedding actually, and I did scuba dive, and which you'd actually think would be just so gorgeous. I mean, the water was like as clear as an aquarium, but Dominicans have like nothing in place for protecting the environment. So like it was pretty like surprisingly barren underwater. Yeah, there was not a lot of marine life. But
That's sad.
really clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, you said that your dad was kind of reserved, but you think he was probably happy about the jiu-jitsu thing, and your mom was a little bit more concerned. When it came to motorcycles, what was the attitude there?
Probably similar, but at the same time, my parents they're very supportive, and so a lot of times when they're dissatisfied with something I'm doing, I won't know unless I ask directly, like years later. And so when I told both of my parents that I got a motorcycle, I sent them this long text, and I told them how I named my bike after my dead dog, and how I had been doing research on the best bike for about 3 to 5 months, and how I took a course, like the MSF course. And yeah, and then I kind of tried to reassure them that way. And my mom did not respond to the text for about 24 hours, which is very rare for her. And then my dad took a while to respond, but he just said something very diplomatic, like, sounds good, like sounds like you did a lot of research, just make sure to try to not ride it in the city or around traffic, get a trailer if you can. And that was about it. And then my mom, I forget what she said, but I know she's pretty terrified. Like, if I've ever brought it up again, even if I'm not really talking about motorcycles, but maybe I think I was like telling her a story about something that happened in the mountains, and I like mentioned like when I was riding in the mountains, and she goes, "Oh no, Carolyn, I don't want to hear about that. No, don't tell me about that." So she just doesn't want to hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's pretty scary.
Now, you want to tell the story about how you kind of got into motorcycles, or?
Yeah, sure. So that was 5 years ago. November 15th is when I took the MSF course. And that year I was single for the first time in like years. It just kind of happened that I ended up in like back-to-back long-term relationships. And yeah, and I just wanted to do like everything. I just wanted to try everything, just things that I had kind of thought about before, but didn't really put the time into it because I was in a relationship and more into that at the time. My little immature 20-year-old self. That's how I prioritize things. Oh, look at your cat.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Oh, black and white. You have a cat and an old black lab.
Oh,
And
I have 6 cats.
What? Oh my gosh.
So
do they pee and poop everywhere?
No.
Are they well trained?
No, they're litter trained. And he's fixed, so he doesn't spray. Before he got fixed, he used to spray, and I used to have to wash the walls. With this,
I
like,
didn't know that was a thing.
oh, you have to get this enzyme too. Like, you can't use soap and water. You have to use like this enzyme stuff, and it's like $40-$50 a gallon. And
oh my gosh.
yeah, so
cat pee being a really strong thing.
It's, the spray marking, that spray marking pee is even worse. And they like to do it on vertical surfaces.
Oh, weird. How do they do that?
It shoots back.
But how do they
No, it doesn't go down. It shoots back. Like, they just like raise their butts up a little bit, and it like shoots down and back.
Oh, weird.
And it gets all over things, and it smells horrible. Like, there's no way to miss it. Like, the first time a cat marks anywhere in your house, you will immediately know. There's no guessing. It's not like it's like, oh, did someone pee somewhere? No, it's like, oh my God, what is that? And It's just one of those things where, we'd always meant to get them fixed, but time gets away from you when you're busy. And then you call the schedule and they're like, oh, well, we don't have anything for like a month. And then it's like, well, I don't know what my schedule's gonna be like in a month. And so you try to call somewhere else. And then, the cats quickly make it a priority when they start peeing on your stuff. So anyway.
Oh man, both my sisters are allergic, so we never had cats growing up, only dogs. So.
Yeah, my girlfriend's brothers are both really allergic, so I got lucky that she's not allergic.
Yeah, I'm the non-allergic one as well.
I ended up with cats not because I wanted them. I've always been a dog person. I like animals in general, but I never wanted to own a cat. But when I moved to Arizona, and it was like 2006, and we bought the house in 2007, and that was right before the housing market just bottomed out. It had already been going down, which is why we thought it was a great time to buy a house. It's like, ooh, everything's getting cheaper. Let's go buy a house. And then the market fell out, and everyone was kind of doing the jingle mail where they would send their keys to the bank. And so a lot of the houses in my neighborhood were empty. And I think someone left their cat behind. And so my very first cat, her name is Aiko, and she was living in bushes in front of my house. And anyway, long story short, I took her in, and she was my first cat. And then I have strays behind my office and my work all the time. And one year, one of the other businesses in the same suite caught two of the kittens, and she was trying to find someone to take one. So I talked to my girlfriend. And I was like, hey, a couple of the kittens from behind my work got caught. Do you want me to say that we want one? Do you want to adopt a cat together? And she's like, okay, sure. So we adopted the one you just saw, this handsome fellow here.
Oh, what a kitty. Yeah. Look at that face. I love the black spot on the nose.
Oh, he's a monster. But,
he is so cute.
But yeah, so we took him in, and then behind my house, I have a patio and some patio furniture, and one of the neighborhood stray cats decided to have kittens on the back patio. And there were two kittens back there. And because I don't really trust people that much, I didn't want to give them away to some random person. I'm getting attacked
by another cat.
Yeah. All right. I moved her along. She was trying to hurt me. So anyway, we adopted those two cats, and then we were talking about fixing Mama Cat, and she disappeared. So we were like, okay, well, Mama moved on. Well, this year, Mama was back. She remembered what a great spot my back patio was to have kittens, and this time she had 4. So we got 2 of them adopted out, and 2 of them are still with us. So
turtles do the same thing. They'll nest in the same place every year.
Well, it's our own fault. We put food and water out for them when we see, because we don't want her to have to starve if she's trying to feed kittens.
That's very nice.
Now we have a trap. Now we have a trap, and we're gonna trap Mama and get her fixed, and then release her. So no more kittens.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Okay, so you were saying that you had just gotten out of a series of couple relationships.
Yes. So I just wanted to do whatever I thought of that I had been wanting to do before and just never put the time into it. So that year I tried a lot of new things, most of which didn't really stick. But I got really into photography, and I found a mentor and learned from him, and what else did I do? I did a lot of scuba diving. I did, which actually scuba diving did stick, but that year I did a lot. And I really can't remember much else of what I did, but motorcycles was one of the things I really wanted to try. And I really just wanted it as something I could say that I could do. I wasn't really thinking that I would buy my own bike and continue riding. I was really just thinking let me learn it for a week and then move on with my life. But I don't know how many people can try it and never do it again, but I was not one of those people. I tried it and it was all I could think about. But yeah, I remember thinking I could not buy a motorcycle. Why would I do that? So I remember thinking maybe I can just keep taking classes. Maybe I can just rent every now and then. Maybe it'll just be like something I do, like, oh, like rock climbing. I was into that for a little bit. Like, you know, I don't own my own gym. I just go to the rock climbing gym whenever I want. Maybe I could do that. And yeah, I remember seeing that is really expensive to do with a motorcycle. So I remember thinking, I'm just gonna buy my own bike.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So what did you learn on?
I learned on a Honda Grom at the MSF
Wow.
course. Yeah, it's a little baby. It's a little.
Okay. Did you pop
Yeah.
any wheelies?
Not yet.
I mean, on the Grom.
No, I don't know how to pop a wheelie.
Me either.
Oh, I wish I did.
You know, it's
So
funny.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
One of my the CFO at my job, he started calling me Evil Knievel because I ride a bike, and I'm like, he has no idea that I can, like, I am not sure if I can even do a U-turn today. Like, he doesn't know. I'm just gonna let him think that I'm cooler than I am.
Have you inspired anyone at your office to either take the MSF course or to get a bike, you think?
Not yet, but I think that I have noticed that I've piqued the interest of some coworkers,
Mhm.
and like one girl asked me if I could just ride, if she could just ride on the back in the parking lot. And I think that's just part of it, is like when you see someone else doing it, especially someone more like you, like if you see like a girl your age in your department riding a bike, then maybe you'll think like, maybe I could do it too. And especially since I haven't been riding my whole life. I just started like several years ago, in my adult wise grown up life.
Okay.
So no one's taken the MSF course or said, I'm gonna buy a bike, but I have had some very intrigued girls asking some questions.
Nice.
So I'm hopeful.
So you said
Fingers
that,
crossed.
right? You said that you
That kitty is so
Oh
adorable.
my God, he's totally breaking my prayer. Anyway,
He just wants to be in the show.
he does. He does. He's
Is
my
he
comic
distracted
relief.
by that blue? Is he distracted by that blue light? What's he
He
looking
probably is. It's the blue light's not usually on. I just turn that on for a little bit of pop of color in the background.
Oh,
It's really
nice.
boring. This is my office area where I do my day-to-day work too.
Oh, you work from home. I'm so jealous.
Well, just since the whole situation.
Yeah.
So to get back on topic though, you said that you started doing all these things after the series of relationships. Now, why do you think that you didn't do them during the relationships?
At the time, I was just very immature and focused on boys and relationships more than I was myself and whatever I wanted to do. Like now I'm in a relationship, but that never would happen now. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and he's very supportive. He doesn't get mad at me because I didn't come home by 6 o'clock like one ex did. But yeah, I just wasn't very smart. Not like now. I'm just so wise now. But yeah, I didn't have the belief that I had now, which is if you want to do something, you go for it. And the people that are supporting you are the ones meant to be in your life, and the people that aren't are a good riddance.
So do you think that the reason that you sort of accepted for a little while anyway, the one boyfriend who wanted you home by 6, or even just the idea that maybe you should be thinking about the relationship more than yourself, do you think that was just immaturity, or do you think that it came from just sort of the worldview being projected by media or something, or what do you think contributed to that sort of an idea?
I don't know. I've never thought much about where it came from. Yeah, I don't know. I think for at least for me it was immaturity, just because yeah, I think at least with so I'm 31 now. I just turned 31 last Monday. I almost forgot.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And a lot of girls I know around my age, they don't have that mentality where they need to just drop their hobbies, their careers, their lives, their time for a relationship. They kind of, yeah, they don't really have that belief. They're more independent, and they kind of come together in their relationship as friends, and as like you support each other. So that's what that, and just the fact that I didn't think that before. And when I started doing that, when I just started doing what I wanted, I remember thinking like, I'm not, if the way I dated before, I'm just not gonna date. Like, I like this better. I rather be single if this is what it means for me to be single. Yeah, and then I met someone that was really patient with that mentality, and yeah, I realized was still gonna let me be me and not cause any, even if he didn't speak up, it wouldn't be any conflict or tension if I did. It was actually like a point of pride for him if I did. So I think that's part of it too, is just kind of going around people that are, being around people that are that care about you as a person more than they care about like just you doing things for them or you being there for them. Yeah, so I think for me it was a maturity thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, for a lot of people, people discount experience,
Mm-hmm.
And I think experience is one of those things that helps with maturity. They kind of like, they feed off each other. It's like the more experience you get, the more mature you become, and the more mature
Yeah.
you become, the more you're able to recognize the significance
Mm-hmm.
of the experiences you're having.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I know it's not the case for everyone. Sometimes there's like a definitive moment, that kind of like sparks that idea in their mind that, hey, I need to change something. And
Mm-hmm.
some people just happens, like I said, gradually through their various experiences and maturity as they get older. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always nice to hear of someone like reaching that point where they've realized that the things that they want matter too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm.
And is this current boyfriend the one that you mentioned that you started off being friends with for a long time and then eventually started dating?
Yes. And actually, he might not tell you that we were friends at first. He would tell you that we were dating. But for he says we were going out to dinner once a week. That was dating, and I'm like, we were friends. That was very platonically us hanging out. We just acknowledged that we had an interest in each other, but wanted to just be friends first and get to know each other that way.
That definitely sounds like a date, but
damn it. Why are you siding with it? Why are you going on his side?
well, partially it's a joke, but partially it is sort of, I think, one of those lost like habits that people had, where you would kind of go on some dates where
Yeah.
you acknowledge that you've got sort of an interest in each other, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure if you really want to be official,
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah.
And that's what a date is for, right? It's like kind of to
Yeah.
explore whether you have chemistry, whether you
Yeah.
guys have similar interests, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, I guess and my sister pointed out to me like when I started doing that's like, she was like, that's how you should do it. But I mean, she was like, the last person you were with, it was like you knew him for like a week and you're like, okay, Natalie, this is my boyfriend. Yeah, I don't know. There was a learning curve there for me. Sometimes I learn things a little later than other people do.
I mean, social interactions evolve too,
Yeah.
the whole talking thing when I was growing up, that wasn't a thing. There wasn't talking.
What do you mean the whole talking thing?
Like, people refer to their stage in a relationship as talking, where they're not really like going out on official dates. But
Oh, they don't
they're
say
just
we're
like,
dating. They
yeah,
say we're
they're
talking.
not dating. They're just hanging out, and they'll usually do it in like groups of friends and stuff.
Oh.
But
Mm-hmm.
at the back of their head, they're like, eventually, I think I might want to date this person, and so they'll call it like the talking stage, where like they text and they
Oh.
hang out as friends, and usually in a
Yeah.
lot of groups and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, it's like, okay, they go right from talking to boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
that's not. Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Oh.
I only know that because I used to interact with more people who were younger than myself for a while before quarantine. Because the
Wait,
type of
so
photography,
who's doing that? The like
younger crowd, a lot of the
oh, like
younger crowd,
teenagers?
in 20s, college students.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I wasn't very social ever, so it wasn't often that I hung out in large groups, especially not co-ed. Usually I had like one best girlfriend or like two or three best girlfriends, and that was it. But yeah, I think like my sister, she has a lot of friends all the time, guys and girls, hangs out regular. Yeah, very different in that way.
That's cool. Okay. So now, I think in one interview or one of your videos, you had mentioned that you were talking to your therapist about going on to like, I don't know if it was Tinder, but some dating app or something, and trying to recognize these red flags that were being thrown up.
Yeah.
How long have you been in therapy, or are you still in therapy, or?
Yeah. So I started counseling about, I'd say 7 years ago or so. Yeah, I want to say 2013. Originally I just started for panic attacks, and she was so effective at helping that I just kept going back for any little thing, like my sister's insulting me, how do I stand up to her? Or my boss embarrassed me, what do I say? Or this girl at work is causing drama, how do I deal with that? So and that's been so helpful. I've just kept going pretty much on and off since then, and it's helped me through other things too, like things that are like aren't as serious like that, like just like drama with someone at work, or things that I need more help with, like a breakup or something. Yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody, even if for people who feel like they have a good grasp of things and don't even have something major in life, like even just for little things, something that you talk to a best friend about, because your best friend may not make the healthiest choices. Your best friend just may want to be supportive and go on your side. But an objective therapist whose job is to pick things that are strategic to help you be healthy, I think is a much better, more helpful person to talk to than even just a best friend.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It's interesting because I used to watch or listen to Howard Stern, and he's been in therapy for a long time too. And his point of view was every person in the world who can afford it and who has the time should be in therapy, because it's just good all around for life.
It really is. Just having someone wise giving you constructive feedback on what you're thinking and how you're processing things is just a total game changer. Like I have people so many times tell me like that I have a great attitude, or they found out something I've been through and been like, I never would have thought you've been through that. It's because I've gotten over it. Some people will be bitter for years or for the rest of their lives about something that's happened, and I've been able to, I don't know, I've just had someone professional teach me how to process things in a way that doesn't bother me anymore, or I can move on from it to the point that I don't even think about it anymore.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Okay.
I recommend it to anyone listening.
I'll have to try it sometime. I've thought about it before, but it could be one of those situations where you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Definitely.
In that,
and you don't know what to talk about or ask, or it's like, I don't think I have a problem with anything, so that's
exactly. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I have a lot of anxiety about things, but I understand what my anxiety is sparked by. And I have developed methods of coping with my anxiety that are productive. Like I just like to be busy. So it's like if I start having a lot of anxiety, then I just start making myself busier and busier. And, after a while, the anxiety kind of, goes down, and then I can start to kind of relax a little bit and take more time where I don't have to fill every day with something productive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have talked to my doctor a little bit about the anxiety thing, and when I described what was going on and how I was dealing with it, he was just like, okay, well, it seems fairly healthy of all the different ways you can handle your anxiety. So he's like, if you want to talk to someone, you can, but or if you want some medication, we can, but otherwise, if you think you're doing okay, then we'll just continue with what you're doing. So,
yeah, that's a good way to deal with it, to just be productive, I think.
Well, it's worked so far. Now, you mentioned that you named your bike after your dog, your late dog. What is the name of your bike? Is it Charlie, or?
Yeah, my first bike, I named it Charlie. But I actually haven't named my current bike or my bike right before that either.
Oh. Do you think they're too temporary?
Just never thought of a name that I thought fit.
Okay.
No, The last one, the Bonneville was temporary, but the my Street Triple R, I don't see myself selling that anytime soon at all, and unless it like just stops working because I've had it for so long. Yeah, so no, I don't know. I just haven't stumbled upon a name that I thought, oh, that's perfect for it yet. Mm-hmm.
So what took you from cruiser girl to street bike girl?
Mm-hmm. Test riding a girlfriend's Street Triple R.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That one ride, I just fell in love with it. It was just the smoothest thing I ever rode, and it just felt so good. And but actually at first I was still adamant that I was a cruiser girl. And really I'm just basing it on looks. Just I at the time I just loved the way cruisers looked more. And so I didn't get that Street Triple R yet. I got the Triumph Bonneville instead, thinking that was like a cruiser-ish equivalent to it. And struggled with that, and then for that next year tried about every other bike I could. And then finally just said, okay, fine. You know what? I realized that I like riding sport bikes most. I don't like the way they look, but I like riding them most. And then sure enough, once I got a sport bike and enjoyed the ride, I love the way they look now. Funny how that happens.
I think, taste change, number one, and you're right. When you start to enjoy something, it starts to look better in your eyes. I think that's why so many men are able to date. It's like, they may not be that attractive, but they're interesting or funny, and it's like suddenly now they're cute. I'm in the same boat as you though, because I went cruiser primarily for aesthetics. I am of the opinion that most sport bikes look and sound like bugs. And it's never or the R1 looks like Toothless. Oh, both of us are facing. So have you seen how to train a dragon or whatever, or how to raise a dragon?
I have.
So Toothless is that purple dragon. Even if someone listening might not know, but yeah, go ahead, look it up. So it's this purple dragon, and if you look at the front of the R1 and you look at that purple dragon, they are a spitting image. It's like Pixar is now working for their design group at Yamaha.
What? Okay, I'm gonna open up both of them, Yamaha R1, and I already got the Toothless Dragon, and then we'll see. You're saying the front?
Yeah, I created a little image of that. I might still have it on my phone. I can message over to you.
Okay.
Let me see. I take so many photos though; it's probably far back.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Yamaha R1, and then I'm gonna pull them both up in just a second. Toothless Dragon, How to Train a Dragon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. I don't remember it very well. Oh, okay. So here is Toothless. Sorry for those listening to this on the podcast that can't see it.
Yeah, I know.
So here's Toothless, and then here is the R1.
I just messaged you a better.
Look like dragon eyes.
I just messaged you on Instagram a better picture, I think, because they're similar.
Oh
angles.
Yeah, that's good. There we go.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's gonna be all I see now.
So anyway, like that's kind of the I mentioned I love photography, and I had a small photography business. So aesthetics are very important to me, because one of the things I wanted to do with the bike was take it places, take pictures with it. And before all this stuff happened, I had planned on bringing some folks and having them sit on the bike and taking pictures of people on the bike. And so it really made a lot of difference to me how a bike looked. And just in riding it, I liked, my uncle was a Harley rider, and I've always kind of liked the sound of a Harley. Even every time I hear someone put a new exhaust on a sport bike and they rev it up, I still just hear where, And I get it. Like when you're the one riding it and stuff, it probably appeals to people.
Yeah.
More.
Oh yeah. I love the sound of a Triumph exhaust. It's like my favorite thing.
Everyone does, but I guess I'm biased because I grew up hearing like the Harley sound. So to me, that's what the bikes are supposed to sound like. And the other ones are like, I put some bees in a jar, shook it, and they got really angry.
That's funny to me. Harleys, and actually this KTM I'm riding too. To me, it sounds almost kind of Harley-like. Maybe it's because it's one cylinder, But to me, that sounds like farting.
Oh, okay. It
Yeah.
depends. I think that some of the ones that have that decel pop, those I could definitely see that, because it definitely has kind of a, I mean, it is kind of a passing gas, right? That's what's going on
It
with
sounds like it's like
the pop. That's true. Now I'll have to, I already plan on making a video about the aesthetics of sport bikes at some point, where I'm going to make people guess, like, is this a bug sound or is this a sport bike?
Oh.
You know, and then like reveal the pictures, but don't tell anyone, because that's my secret.
Okay, I won't. Thanks for sharing it with me.
So you went out and you're welcome. You test rode all these different bikes, and I know you ended up with the Triumph Street Triple. How much of that was the rider position on the Street Triple, or versus aesthetics or performance? What do you think was the biggest?
It was 0 aesthetics, and it was 100% feel while riding, which partially, a big part of that was riding position. I like that it was very upright, unlike like Suzuki Gixxer 750 that I can think of. Ninja 650 was very upright too, which I did like. But what I liked more over about the Triumphs was how smooth it was. In addition to that, they ride like butter, and that was I think I'd say the number one thing that attracted me to the Triumph Street Triple R was the smoothness, and the seating position sold me in the rest of the way.
Okay, that's definitely
and actually, I guess the riding of it. But I guess the riding of it too. Like, it rides very nice.
Nice. I mean, for me, being a little bit chubby and having a back that's been injured a few times, and my neck got squished in jiu-jitsu. So it's like that position where you have to like lean forward for so long, would 100% wreck my back after probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. What do you ride now?
I ride a Harley Sportster Iron 883.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. So it's a smaller bike, because this is my first bike ever. I just learned to ride in November.
So, congrats!
Thanks. I learned in Nicaragua, actually.
Oh, cool.
My buddy had this little bike. He says it's called a Skylar, and it was a 125cc. And one day we were sitting around smoking cigars, having breakfast, and he was like, "You want to learn to ride a motorcycle?" And I've never had any interest in motorcycles ever. You know what I mean?
And then you got on one, and then you're hooked.
Oh, exactly. But I do enjoy learning new things, So if someone's like, "You want to learn this?" Yes. "You want to learn that?" Yes. Right. So he's like, "Do you want to learn to ride a motorcycle?" Sure. So we went out into this little field that was next to the house, and he gave me some instructions. I've driven a stick shift car before, so the whole clutch and shifting thing wasn't an issue. I just needed to know where the gears were, basically. And as soon as I started riding it around, I was like, "Oh, fuck, this is way too fun." And I couldn't stop thinking about it. For months, I resisted, because I was like, I don't need a motorcycle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just don't need one.
I know exactly the feeling.
But the back of my mind, I kept going, you could swing it. Like, it's not, they're not that expensive. You're just being cheap, you know? And
same.
So.
Yeah. And now that you have one, you're probably like, I can only have a motorcycle ever. I must always have a motorcycle.
I love it. And you know what's great?
What?
Do you see those curtains right there?
Yeah.
My bike is right past them. So when I'm working, sometimes I can just go like this
and check on it.
Oh, look, my bike. It's right there.
That's perfect.
Sometimes I'll do that. I'll look at my girlfriend and be like, "Isn't she pretty?"
Is she ever like, "What about me?"
No. I tell her she's pretty too.
Good job.
But yeah, so it's just funny. I was talking to my girlfriend, because I would love for her to ride too, but she's only got like mixed emotions about it. It seems like she's leaning no right now, but we'll see, because I had the same opinion. I was like, I'm not going to ride a motorcycle. It's too dangerous. The fun to danger ratio is way off. And then you sit on one, you make it move, and you're like, no, it's not.
Yep, exactly. I think too, though, if for anyone that's really adamant against motorcycles, if it's like your significant other, I think if you suggest to them, don't you want to ride a bike? That's like very daunting. But if you say like, you want to do the MSF course weekend with me? I just want to brush up on some skills, and you can do it. You can ride for just a weekend. Won't that be fun? I don't know. I think that might be a good way to introduce someone, and then let them get hooked on their own.
That's true. I tend to be more direct though than that.
So you don't have that thing girls do, which is we like to reword things and say things and suggest things in a way that we may get the answer we want, because we know if we're direct, we won't always get it.
Well, some people work smarter, some people work harder.
Yeah, some people may call that manipulation, but yeah, basically, I'm saying manipulate your girlfriend. Invite her to the MSF course with the pretense that you think she'll be hooked and then be riding with you forever.
I'm gonna player this back and be like, look, Doodle says I am supposed to manipulate you.
Yeah.
Now, in your personal life, do you prefer to go by Doodle, Carolyn, Carol? Like, what's your preferred moniker?
Well, I don't introduce myself as Doodle. Just Carolyn.
Carolyn,
and
okay.
Some people call me Caroline, and I just let them continue that.
That's just mean.
I don't know. To me, it's like as different as like someone having an accent and saying Caroline instead of Carolyn. I just let them go with it, which I know is not the same thing. I know, but that's just kind of how I see it, because it's happened so much.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before, I think, that you were riding when you met your current boyfriend. I think, right? And then he started kind of riding after that. So you did inspire him to ride.
Yeah.
But then he quit. Does he have any intention, do you think, of trying again at some point, or what do you think?
Not street. I don't think so. But dirt, he definitely wants to try dirt. Yeah, but for him, street was he just found that his road rage was amplified on the road. And especially with me, it's like any cars that got anywhere near me, he was like livid, which I kind of felt too. I was like, it wasn't fun riding with him. I was constantly terrified for him. Any car that got 10 feet near him, I'm like, get away from him. So I think that was a problem for us both. So for him, he found that street riding was just more stressful than it was fun. But yeah, he does want to do dirt. So I'm excited about that part.
Do you think you will also get a dirt bike, or?
I don't know. It may be like when I got my first street bike, where I'm like, I don't need a dirt bike. Can I rent it? Can I just keep doing classes? And then finally I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just do it. So it may be like that, but I haven't taken a dirt class yet. So far, him and I have rented dirt bikes, and we try to wing it on our own, which was a terrible idea. All I did was spend the time in the mud. So I do want to take a dirt class, and then and I'm sure I'll love it. And then after that, see what I want to do. But yeah, I am still very like, I don't want to spend a lot of money on fun things now. I want to spend as much money as possible on something where my money will come back to me, like real estate or YouTube, like where I can actually see it coming back. And then later buy it with more fun stuff, put money towards that.
Okay. So speaking of YouTube and Instagram and all the different social medias, have any sponsors or anything reached out to you since you've been doing the whole social media influencer thing?
I do have one actually. Oh, that I need to respond to their email. Which I would say is the closest thing to a more legit sponsor actually contacted me, like saying they wanted to pay for a video, for me to just mention them in a video. So I meant to tell them I just haven't responded to their email yet, but yeah. So I would say that and that actually just happened last week. But before that, it's pretty much mostly been a lot of emails I would delete, because it would be something like, do you want this flashlight and make a video for us? I'm like, okay, well, that's 4 hours of my work for a $30 item that I don't even want. No. So a lot of things like that. So I think the sponsoring things is starting to come up more recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what
Yeah.
about? I see your Chic Riot jacket hanging back there.
Yeah. Those are my
Um,
motorcycle jackets.
I think I've seen you wearing at least 2 of them. Is that all you have, or do you have more?
I do have more. I'll show you.
Okay.
So actually, that's my fiance's motorcycle jacket.
Oh,
He
nice.
still kept it because he rode it when we went dirt. That's our scuba wetsuits. So I have this one, the Chic Riot jacket. And then I forgot. I have to give this back to Tabitha. This was a loaner, actually, a Chic Riot loaner. I hope you can see that. It's a leather one, their fall one. I wore it to Arizona, actually, when I did the Triumph Immersion event. So that's black leather. So that's like their fall winter jacket.
And you're not spoiling their new line, right?
No, because that is currently out right now. And then this is one of their summer jackets from last year. Yeah, summer mesh, and of course almost dropped my laptop.
Ooh, that's
armor.
Not good.
Yeah, and that's all I got for Chic Riot. And then I have this first gear jacket that I haven't worn ever since I've gotten the Chic Riot jackets. And then my one-piece Dainese suit is in there.
Ooh. I don't see your astronaut suit.
My astronaut suit is in my costume box. I wore that over armor gear. That's funny. Yeah, that was a good suit though.
All right. So for everyone listening on iTunes or on any other podcasting platforms, you can check YouTube if you want to see the video of the different jackets that she was showing us. And
sorry guys that are only listening. I forgot about that part.
No problem. It's I want to be multi-platform, so I want to have some things that people can see, and then obviously a lot of stuff people can just listen to, at their desks if they have to go into work, and at their house if they don't. So, when you, I think were you approached by Chic Riot first, or did you find them at an event? How did you end up interacting with Chic Riot?
Yeah, they messaged me. So Tabitha, one of the lead designers there, she messaged me on Instagram, and I think she just said like we're creating some new women's motorcycle jackets. We'd love for you to model them. And that's all she said. I didn't know that they had watched my videos, but apparently they had watched my videos on YouTube before. But I didn't know that. I thought maybe they just found me on Instagram. So I tried to warn her. I was like, maybe she all these filters and my hair at the time was really long. Maybe they think I'm a little more fancy than I am. So I told her, I was like, okay, but just so you know, I like use a lot of filters, and I just cut off 10 inches from my hair. And they were like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. And then once I met them in person, they had mentioned like, yeah, we watched your videos, we really like them, we thought you'd be a good fit because you're not you're a, I wouldn't say conservative, but just like everyday girl. And I'm not showing cleavage. I mean, I don't have any anyways. Showing cleavage and just like sports bra on a jacket, and that's it. So they were wanting more of that kind of feel.
I think sounds like they want someone relatable, right? Yeah,
there you go. Girl next door, relatable. Yeah.
When I was talking to them, it sounds like they find it really important to make sure that their clients can see themselves in the advertising. Which to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you mentioned earlier that you basically were referencing representation, because you were saying that someone at your work, they're starting to show more interest because they can see someone like themselves in a similar situation doing what you're doing, hopping on bikes and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that representation is definitely something that's important if you want to get people to do something. If you can't see yourself doing it, then you may not even think of doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just seeing other people doing it, you're like, I could do that.
Since we're kind of touching on the subject, what do you think, if anything, brands could do to get more women interested in riding?
Probably just showing more women riding. I think that's a big part of it. Some some people, some girls may not even necessarily think I would never do that, but just it doesn't even cross their mind because they don't see it, they don't know of anyone else doing it. So I think that's a big part of it. If you just know someone doing something, you think, maybe I could do that too. Yeah, I think that's just part of it. Just seeing people you know or can relate to doing it too.
Mm-hmm. Do you think having more events at dealerships and such where people could try the bikes and maybe more focus their advertising on getting women to come to those events would be something that might work too? Or do you think, first of all, you got to start with representation so they can see themselves doing it before they even will look at those ads?
Yeah, I think so. Because if I saw an ad for like Monster Jam, I would skim right over it. But if I like saw I don't know, someone that I like really like, a celebrity I really like or something, like riding in a truck in Monster Jam, I would think about it. Then I would think like, maybe I want to go see it, or maybe I could do it. Maybe I could drive those trucks myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think if that girl who hasn't been introduced to it as far as thinking maybe I could do it, who sees the ad for like a Yamaha demo day, isn't going to think twice about the Yamaha demo day unless she's already started to think about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So when you were looking for riding gear, were you finding stuff that you liked, or did you run into a lot of the issues some of the women run into where they were having more of a struggle to find riding gear that was both safe and appealing to them?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a struggle. But at the same time, I think as long as you eventually, if you don't stop looking, eventually you'll find what you're looking for. So, I think I probably went into just about every motorcycle dealership gear shop that was in like within a 45-minute drive of me. So eventually I did find pants that fit, and eventually I did find a jacket that I didn't think I looked like a square in. Yeah, so eventually I found something that would kind of work enough. Yeah, but then Chic Riot emailed me and I'm like, okay, if I had seen this day one, I would have been like, take my money. I wouldn't have had to think twice. Those things are just so cute and safe. So that's a rare combination that you don't see as much in the motorcycle world. You can find things that will work and are safe. But yeah, what I love about Chic Riot, it's not just it works and it's safe. It's like, it's so cute and it's safe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was following a lot of folks on Instagram when I first started my whole Desert Mofo Instagram account. And I was noticing that a lot of the gear for women all kind of looked the same. And even the women's gear, a lot of it just looked like men's gear that had kind of been repurposed slightly.
Yeah.
You know, and then I started following more people, and your account was one of them. And I think you were wearing, I think it was the red one. And I don't remember if it was your photo or Megan Stark, one of you guys. Like I tapped on it, and I think you tagged the company because I was like, that is actually a cool looking jacket.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time I was, hoping my girlfriend would start riding too, so obviously I was trying to keep an eye out for those types of things. And so when I clicked onto their Instagram, looked at their website, and I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is actually cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's something my girlfriend actually liked because so much of it was just, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't bad, I mean, if you like black or brown leather, or if you like pink, then you'd probably be set.
Yeah.
But if you liked anything else, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah.
So,
do you think your girlfriend would ride on the back?
We're gonna work up to it. As you can see by my hat, like I'm a Moto Jitsu fan.
Yes.
And so one of his videos said you shouldn't take anyone on the back of your bike until you can do blue belt drills with a passenger. So the goal is
that's
for
probably
me,
very smart.
To get past blue belt on my own, then get a passenger to practice with. And once
that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, and then that way it's more safe
Okay,
because I'm a
mm-hmm.
big fan of safety on motorcycles because I don't mind taking
Mm-hmm.
risks as long as I feel like there's ways to mitigate them. You know,
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
where would you put yourself on a risk-taking meter? Would you say
0. Yeah,
zero?
I'm like, well, that's probably not right. I do ride motorcycles and scuba dive, but yeah, I try to be as safe as possible considering I am on a motorcycle. Like you'll never see me weaving in and out of traffic on my bike, maybe in my car, but not on my bike, and always in full gear. And I try to not go more than 9 miles per hour on speed limit wise. Um, yeah, so I just do as much as I can to stay safe and um, yeah, practice those skills and also just be very aware while I am riding, like constantly checking my rear view mirrors, make sure I'm aware of who's on my right, who's on my left. But I usually try to ride in those like empty pockets. You know how cars kind of drive in pockets, so I
Mm-hmm.
try to be in the empty ones. Yeah, so just kind of thinking ahead as much as I can as well. No wheelies, no stoppies. Not that I can, anyways. But none of those. Maybe in a parking lot one day.
You say 0, but you ride a motorcycle, you scuba dive, you've done rock climbing, you do
Mm-hmm.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I do all those things very safely, though. Yeah.
An outside observer may say that your risk taking is a little higher than 0.
Who would say that?
An outside observer
Oh yeah. Well, that's fine.
or a mother.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, my mom would not agree with that. Neither would my sister. But you know what? If they rode or scuba dove and then they saw how I am when I do those things, they would be like, "Oh, okay, I don't need to worry anymore. You're ridiculously cautious with this."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I've done everything there except for scuba diving. And I used to think the same way, like I'm not a risk taker. But then as I was reviewing my own actions, and thinking about my life, I was like, well, I guess I can't say I'm not a risk taker. I have to
Yeah.
kind of revise that to be maybe of a person who's willing to take risks as long as I can find ways to mitigate the risk,
Yeah.
to be safer doing it,
Hmm. I
So
almost don't really think of it as taking risks. Even I just think of it of having fun and being careful when I am having fun. I mean, yeah, that's just riding a motorcycle and scuba diving is way more fun to me than like going to brunch. Um, I don't want to do that. I mean, no, I do like to do that with someone I like, but that is just not my idea of an ideal weekend. It's like yoga and
yeah,
brunch. It's like motorcycles and then yoga and then chocolate lava cake.
nice.
Once a week though, because I don't want to eat too much sugar. It's not good for my skin.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not good for a lot of things, but
Yeah.
skin
Yeah.
when you're younger, the skin is one of the main ones.
Mm-hmm.
As you get older, it becomes other things too, like
Mm.
your belly grows if you eat too much sugar.
That's not so bad.
Oh, I get a new shelf. I never have to worry about where to set something as long as I'm sitting down. So,
Exactly. A little to-go table.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm just evolving, to become more utilitarian.
Built-in shelves into your body.
That's right.
Built-in
They're
pillows.
upgrades.
Exactly.
So the scuba diving thing, did you get into it around the same time, or were you always scuba diving, but you did it more after the breakups?
I got certified oh no, actually I did get certified while I was dating someone. But I didn't go on any scuba trips while I was dating him. Also, this is another not smart, immature thing I did. I was paying for a lot of things for that first guy. He was in graduate school. So I would pay for dinner or lunch or things like that. And there was one trip that we did, like a beach trip where I paid for his ticket because he couldn't afford it. And then I thought, you know what, if I go scuba diving, that's more expensive. I do not want to pay for his scuba trip too. So I just didn't go diving while we were together. And then so yeah, after that I did a lot of scuba diving.
So is there somewhere to scuba dive
Young,
around
naive Doodle.
Well, you know what? The thing is, like, as long as things are reciprocated either eventually or in other ways, I'm not against people paying for each other if they're in a relationship, but when it becomes a one-way street, I think that's when it's, someone's just taking advantage at that point.
Yeah.
But out in Atlanta, do you have places that you can scuba dive, or
if you count like a pool at at a dive center, they have like a pool you can practice in. But no, so what I did, I would go on weekend trips. Like there's a quarry actually in Georgia. There's a quarry in Georgia and also in Alabama. And I think I was able to do those trips like within the same day, and I was able to drive home that same Saturday night. So I would do a lot of that. And then there was some diving I did in Florida too, which is also like a good weekend away. So it's not like the best diving, but it was, to me, it was still diving. It was still cool. I was underwater, and also I was just practicing as well. So
have you done any freshwater diving, like lakes or rivers or anything?
I have. My very first dive was in a lake, a very cold lake. I almost did not get certified because I was so cold, and I couldn't. One of my ears hurt so bad.
Oh no.
But yeah, I would not do it again because I could barely see like past my arm. If I did it again, it would be freshwater that's very clear, so I could actually see, because I enjoy it when I can barely see anything.
Have you watched any of the YouTube videos of, there's this guy, and I'm sure there's more than one, but there's a young guy, probably in his early 20s, and he does scuba, and he scuba dives in these like rivers. And he's always like pulling stuff up, like he goes down, and that's kind of part of the fun for him, is he'll bring like a little bag to collect stuff. So he'll take garbage out too, but he's also like looking around. He'll find like iPhones and sunglasses, GoPros.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard of that channel.
And he's actually, it's interesting because he'll return the items when he can figure out who they belong to. So he'll go diving, he'll pull out an iPhone, and if it's in like a protective waterproof case, he'll charge it and see if he can get into it, and find a phone number or something. And he'll call them and be like, hey, I've got your iPhone. Or with GoPro footage, he'll look through the footage, and if they can identify someone, they'll find a way to contact them and be like, hey, I found your GoPro. What's your address? I'll ship it back to you.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's a lot of fun to watch those videos. Sorry, I've got a cat hair like tickling my lip there.
No worries. That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, if you like diving, I would suggest, Googling one of those videos, and then maybe it'll inspire you. And we'll see a new channel from Doodle. It'll be, Doodle finds stuff or something.
That'd be cool. No, I really like Jonathan Bird's Blue World. He's a scuba diver on YouTube. I think it's actually a kid's show, but I love it. I binge watch his shows. I especially love watching it while in a bath. That's like my routine is take a bath and watch Jonathan Bird's Blue World as he scuba dives somewhere else in the world.
Do you have any big, not plans, but is there a dream dive that you have in mind at all, or?
Well, I have been wanting to for a long time but actually you could just swim with them, is swim with whale sharks, because they stay on the surface a lot. They congregate every like late summer around the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, like huge numbers by the droves. So I'd love to go swimming with them. So that's probably the main one I'd love to do, is that, and somewhere in Asia too. I need some more PTO to be able to do that one. But yeah, I'd love to go diving somewhere in Asia too. I've just done this side of the hemisphere.
Have you done the tail of the dragon at all, or?
No, I need to. I know.
I think you mentioned in one of your videos that you wanted to do that was one of your goals. And I was watching some of the earlier videos, and that happened. So I was just curious if you made it happen yet or not. And if not
yet.
Do you think that that's a goal that you might reach in the next 6 months, next year, or are you just completely putting that on the back burner?
It really depends on my PTO. Again, that's a stupid thing. Because I would want to go during the week, and just because I hear it's so packed on the weekends, so I'd want to make sure I'd have enough time during the week to do it and be able to stay somewhere overnight. So that's a big thing. But I kind of forgot about it until you mentioned it right now. So I hadn't been planning to do that until maybe right now. So now it is back on my list to do that once I get my PTO on in December is when they reset.
You don't accrue monthly?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I get 15, which I blew through so fast. I get 15 every December.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, my work, we accrue every month. So we get, I've been there a long time. So I think I get like 5 weeks or something.
What? Oh,
well,
you want to get some of those?
But it's PTO, right? So it's sick time, it's vacation time, it's anything. If you're not working, you're taking PTO bank. Plus I've been there like 15, 16 years. So it's,
wow.
You know,
Whoa.
it doesn't start that high. it goes up every month or every year. I mean, but anyway, yeah. So mine, we accrue every month. It's kind of a thing where it's like, yeah, you're gonna eventually at the end of the year have that many days, but you don't start off with that many days. You accrue it as you go. You know, so to some degree, it forces you to sort of meter out how you're spending your PTO. So if you get 15 in December 31st, then you can't go on New Year's and spend all 15 and be like, oh, I'm out for the year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I guess we technically do too, but our managers will let us take, even if it's like, okay, you're going to accrue those couple days in the next months, but if you want to go on a trip now, then go ahead. So I think that's kind of how they do it. They just.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So the product design thing, was that specifically your dream, or was it just having a design job in general in an office that's stable?
Yeah, I think it was the latter. Well, you know what? Also, my dreams change. Either change my mind or I accomplish it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like it anymore. Like as a kid, my dream job was to be a children's book illustrator. And then in college, I worked for a children's book illustrator, and he was broke, and I remember him telling me, sometimes you just gotta figure out a way to make money, because as a children's book illustrator, it's pretty unstable. Sometimes you'll have a lot coming in, and sometimes you'll have nothing. So he said, sometimes I'll just take a job as a security guard in an art museum. So I'm still around art, but and I remember thinking, hell no. I will not like just be like pressed for cash that I'm like, I will take any job right now. That is not how I want to live. So at first I just looked for any like stable job I could that was in my field, and I stumbled upon like home and holiday decor, and and I really liked it. And I mean, I still do like it. It's just the inflexibility of it that really bothers me. So that kind of changed, and then I did think like, well, let me just try this childhood dream. Let me make sure I'm not just totally giving up on it. And I did end up illustrating a children's book, and I found that I didn't like it. I was like, I'm just drawing like the same thing over and over, basically, with like the like same person and like this tired character in like a different position like 16 times. So I found I didn't like it. So tried it, moved on, new dreams now, new goals to follow up.
So last I saw on your social media, you're moving into a new place.
Yes.
Is this a house you bought? Is this a place you're renting? What's the
So I'm moved now. I'm currently in it right now. So I was in a condo that I had purchased a couple of years ago, and I hated living there. My upstairs neighbor was waking me up every day around 3 or 4 a.m. Stomping around. Believe me, I tried everything. Everything. If you can imagine it, I tried it 3 or 4 times. So anyway, so wanted to move from there, but it wasn't smart to resell it after just a year. So I was looking into, my fiance lived with me. I was his landlord basically. And before I had bought the condo, we were talking about maybe purchasing something together. But at the time we were been dating for about a year or two. And so it was kind of hesitant. And I remember and as far as my view went, I was like, he's taking too long to decide. I'm just gonna buy my own place. And so I just bought it. I was like, all right, this is my place. You can be moving with me. And then I told him, like, do you still want to buy your own place? Because now you could be the landlord. You buy the next place, you be the landlord, and I'll be your tenant, basically. So he bought this place, essentially. So I'm basically like his tenant. And my condo, we kept my condo and I turned it into a rental property. So right now I have tenants living there. I wanted to do short term because you literally make 2 to 4 times much more, but I couldn't with the HOA there. They wouldn't allow that. So I got some long-term tenants there for now. So hopefully I can sell it later when it's smarter to sell it, and turn the money that I have in there put it into a short-term property.
Yeah.
So that's the long answer for how I moved twice into 2 owned properties.
Okay. So now, since you do design home decor, are you good at sort of decorating houses and apartments too, or are your skills sort of limited to designing the individual pieces?
Well, I guess that's very subjective, but I think I am good at it. Interior design. I do look at it a lot for work whenever I'm just looking for, just to make sure I'm, I don't know, doing a good job at my job and staying on what's on trend. So I do look at interior design a lot. And as far as whether or not I'm good, I think that's very subjective. I think I am.
Well, maybe I should say confident instead of good, because you're right. I mean, good is going to be in the eye of the beholder, right? I mean, you may love your place and someone else may come in and be like, oh my God, leopard stripes or leopard spots, you know? But I wasn't sure if it was sort of like the mechanic thing where it's like they do mechanic stuff all day and so their car's falling apart. You know, if it was one of those situations where you design all day and you're like, I'm not decorating this place. Like, I'm so sick of thinking about decorations.
Oh no, I love decorating. I love it. I am sick of like drawing and designing. Like I don't draw for myself anymore. I used to sketch a lot, like in a little notebook, but I don't do that anymore. I'm just, I do that for work all the time. I'm tired with that, but I do love to decorate our place at least. Yeah.
So do you think, grab this really quick, grab a prop that people on the podcast won't be able to see, but again, go to YouTube. Do you think you'll ever do any like motorcycle art?
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, so you know Amanda Zito.
Yes, I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So this is from As the Magpie Flies.
Yes.
I like to support people who are doing
that's great.
fun things.
Yeah,
so
and
I love the art.
I don't think so. Not right now. I just just as far as, because it takes so much time, and lately I've just been very burnt out from things that take a lot of time. Like one thing, rather just do a lot of things, a lot of little things. But I do like to do kind of more graphic stuff, like just for like, but yeah, I think if I went back to something more illustrative stuff like that, it would be because I probably am no longer working my full-time office job where I'm just like burnt out from drawing and I think as long as I have my full-time office job, I don't see myself drawing a lot.
Okay. I mean, I wonder with the whole YouTube thing, you know, eventually people seem to move to selling merch, right? I'm wearing this Moto Jitsu hat, you know, As the Magpie Flies has her prints. She's got, you know, mugs, the whole deal. And so being someone who is able to produce that stuff herself, I was just wondering if that might be a direction you'd go once the channel is, you know, even bigger.
Yeah, I would like to for sure. But I'd probably do more graphic looking things. Just because, I don't know, that's what I gravitate towards right now. I don't know, that could change in a year or two. I could change my mind and want to do more illustrated stuff, but yeah.
Okay. You think you'll ever draw like a series of Groms?
It hasn't crossed my mind, but I guess anything's possible.
I'm just teasing. It's one of those things I think that's interesting about motorcycles is that it doesn't matter how tiny the motorcycle is, it'll still be a lot of fun because mine was a 125, so probably bigger than a Grom, but you know, only physically, engine size, it was the same. So when you were on your Grom, like how long before you felt like this was for you? Was it by the end of the class, or was it like the first time you made it move, duck walking or something? Like when do you think it really struck you that, oh man, this is going to be addicting?
Probably the very first time I flipped that throttle. As soon as I turned it on and was in motion, not duck walking, like in motion with the bike, even if though I was only going like 5 miles or so, I think that was it. That's all it took was, yeah. I remember by like the second day, and I finally like switched gears. I'd been in first gear the entire time because I was scared to to go up to the next gear. And the whole class cheered. They were like, "Way to go! You went 12 miles an hour and in second gear."
That's
12,
fantastic.
something like that. Yeah, but it was so much fun well below. In first gear, I had a great time.
Do you still do any of the classes, the Jared Palladino classes, or
I haven't since I think all last year I didn't. And yeah, so all 2019 I didn't, 2018 I did. And I keep meaning to get back to it. But yeah, I've just kept getting busy with adult responsibilities instead that have got to come first, like just moving and setting up my condo to rent out. And yeah, but I keep meaning to. It's not something I've forgotten. It's just something that I haven't done in a while.
so how good of a friend was it that broke your bike?
That broke. Oh, an enemy. No, I'm just kidding. Not someone. So I left out all these details because I didn't want. Well, you'll figure out why when I tell you. So it wasn't someone I knew as a friend long term. It was through like a bike rental service app where like you can rent bikes or you can rent out your bike. So I started an app like that last winter because I was barely riding my bike. So I wanted it to be ridden. And so I started doing that, and the good thing about that is you can reject more people than you accept. So I did. I probably got a total of like 7 requests and only allowed 3 people to ride it. And this person came off very like a safe bet for me. They were a successful business person, family man, has been riding longer than I've been alive. Their kids even ride. They've been riding around the whole world. And so he wanted to rent my bike because he was considering buying it for his daughter. And so he did. And he let her ride the bike. And she dropped the bike, and he offered to fix the levers, the levers that broke, like the sides that broke. He offered to fix it himself. And he's like, I have a whole garage. I have all this work and equipment that I can do. I can fix it. I can fix it myself. So I said, sure. And yeah, but he ended up, I ended up picking up the levers that were just cheap off online because I didn't know any better. And he ended up installing it improperly, like missing the bushing, if you know what that means. I didn't, but that's what my shop guy told me. Missing the bushing in one spot, and also just doing it completely improperly. Like basically what I summed up was a janky setup that I couldn't tell by looking, but the shop guy that I took it to when it wasn't turning on after told me. He was like, this clutch is put in all the way, it's adjusted all the way, and it can't move any further. It's like jiggling over here, it's like not even, this side is completely missing the bushing. So yeah, so he just did it improperly. I trusted the guy. He just came off so confident. But I realized that confidence was coming from a place that it's not skill confidence. It's something's not right up here confidence. Some people just, I think, are that way. Like he never apologized for one thing. So I think that's just some personality where like, you know, the salesman that really believes in his product, even if the product is crap, that's
Yep.
the guy you buy from, because you're like, well, he believes in it, I believe in it too. So then I realized, oh, he believes in himself, but he's wrong. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I'm sorry to hear that.
that's
I mean, last I heard though, you did
Right.
find some OEM parts, right?
Yes. So I couldn't find anywhere online. So if you're ever looking for OEM Triumph parts, apparently you need to call a dealership directly and then order over the phone. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's how you need to do it. And they'll, but yeah, they're shipping it to my shop that isn't a Triumph shop. They're shipping it directly to him, so that's really nice. But I mean, I pay for it too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Venmoing the guy who broke them. He's paying for it all. Yeah.
Okay. So not that good of a friend since you didn't really know them. Now, do you
No.
think you'll continue on using that app to let your bike out, or
No.
are you pretty much done? Yeah, you're done.
I am done. I
Okay.
don't have a good taste in my mouth after that. At the same time though, it really is up to like who you rent it to and what you're willing to allow. Like I allowed him to fix it himself and just Venmoing him instead of going through the company and using their deposit that they took from him. Yeah, so it's also just like it's not that I don't recommend it, because I will use the app to rent other people's bikes. Like I want to do that. I want to ride other people's bikes, especially if like when traveling or something. But because this is my one bike, and especially now that I'm commuting, I ride it a lot. Uh, it's not worth the money that I get from it to not have my own bike.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone said I will pay you $1,000 or $5,000 for your bike then yeah, I would consider renting it again. But if it's like I will pay you $50 for one day, no, hell no, not worth the risk of dropping it and it being in the shop for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Yeah.
So has this experience made you think about strategies for protecting a short-term rental in the future, or has it really influenced your thoughts on that at all?
No, not really. I didn't think of it. Oh, I guess anytime you learn a new life lesson or put up a new vetting process when you meet a person, it kind of applies. So I guess in that case it does. Like I met someone that came off very confident and seemed like everything was good on paper. Like he's a dad, like my dad's age, professional, confident, all that looks good. But so I think what I will do is not be over accommodating. So like in hindsight, instead of saying, sure, we don't have to use the app or the company's deposit so you can get your $1,000 back, I'll just Venmo request you, because then they start taking like little inches. Then it's like, okay, I'll just Venmo request you for these clutch levers. I just got them. And then the guy's like, okay, but remember, I only broke the one side of the lever. So can we 50-50 it? I'm like, okay, I guess so. Even though if I would have just gone through the app, you'd be out a lot more money than what I'm letting right now. By the way, remember, I haven't had a bike for 5 weeks because of you. That's kind of my thinking. So I think in that way, I'll just want to be more overly cautious with people and not accommodating just because they remind me of my dad. And I thought that it was just seeing him with his 2 kids riding on a bike was just like the sweetest thing I ever saw. And they're both teenagers. So I think that was part of it too, why I wanted to be more accommodating, because I'm like, oh, I want to be part of that family. I emotionally compromised. That's what happened to me.
So, I mean, hearing about him secondhand, obviously I don't know him, but now like hearing these things makes me wonder if his daughter really dropped the bike.
Oh, I think so.
You
But
know
I
what I
guess
mean?
I guess you can't be sure, but I think so.
Because when you tell me he
I
didn't
guess I don't know.
apologize and stuff, it kind of
No,
makes me think of someone
never
who
apologize.
has a lot of entitlement,
Yeah.
and doesn't want to be seen as doing something wrong. And then you're telling me he messed up the installation of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So now I wonder
Uh,
if he was the one who dropped it and his daughter is just a nice scapegoat to not look like he doesn't
aw.
know what he's doing.
Who maybe, I don't know. She did though when they came to return the bike, he was like all chill about it, like, but she looked so sad. Like
okay. So she was there.
Yeah, she was there, like, to return. She didn't say anything. She could barely look at me. Like, I think she felt awful. So I think it was her, but yeah, I guess I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was another reason I wanted to be accommodating. It's like, a girl wants to ride and she's with her dad. That is so sweet. Of course, go ahead, borrow that bike.
Do they have star rating systems on the app that you were using for the people renting the bikes?
Yes, but unfortunately, I already gave him 5 stars.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I know. It's so bad in so many ways.
I was just going to ask, like, what his rating was prior to renting with you.
0. Didn't have any.
Oh no. Okay.
I know. Hindsight's 2020. It all looked so good at the time.
Because I love using Airbnb when I travel, but
Yeah.
I'm big on checking the reviews and actually like reading them. And then I'll even sometimes go in when I can see it and see what other ratings the people have given to other places. Like, are they just always happy and always give everyone 5 stars? Or is it like mixed? Because someone who's like more honest with their reviews, I trust more, when I read it. Because we went to Vancouver and Washington one year. And I don't know if we were in Vancouver or if we were in Washington. Oh, we were in Vancouver. And the woman's place was in a pretty good location, but they didn't have AC. And normally, apparently at that level, that latitude, like, you don't really need AC because it doesn't get that hot. But we went during a really hot summer, and she had to scrounge up a fan. It took her a couple of days to bring us a fan, and it was just ended up being a really tough place to stay, because it was just so hot and muggy and no fan for a while. And
oh no.
So I'm big on checking the reviews.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. Well, what are your any upcoming plans for the channel?
Well, some videos for one thing. Yes, I do have some videos I'm actually going to post again. It's been a couple months since at first I just took a break to ride more, and then it extended because then we found a house and we picked a house, so we started moving, and then it extended because I was setting up my condo to rent out, which took me forever because I had never done it before. Yeah, so that got extended, and then that's pretty much it. Actually, I've been ready to make videos now. It's just been a matter of time, but like having family over. But yeah, so now, like, just last weekend I started editing some videos. So I've got a lot of videos I want to edit, and I think that's mainly it. Edit some videos and yeah.
Okay. Any
groundbreaking, huh?
Well, I mean, everything's an accomplishment if you've taken a break. You know what I mean? Like whether it's jiu-jitsu or anything in life, it's like getting that first step back into the habit is always the accomplishment, because so many people like they put something down for a little while and they just never start again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Especially I just second guess myself so much with like literally everything. And so like I've been doing that now with this next video that I'm editing. I'm like, should I put this up? Is this like too whiny? I'm just second guessing it all. But I'll put it up. I'll just be terrified while I do every time.
Any KTM content?
Oh chance? Yeah, definitely. I haven't recorded anything yet, but I'll definitely want to do a review on this bike. Okay. Yeah, I love riding it, and but yeah, I want to do that for sure.
Now, is this KTM kind of like a dual sport or an ADV bike, or is it just a what do they call it, a naked bike? I don't know much about KTMs.
Yeah, so I think it's just a naked bike. There's a naked sport bike, but I actually don't know for sure. I haven't looked up the details and specs on it. But yeah, it's a 2020 KTM Duke 390. Surprisingly zippy for only 390 cc. Yeah, like I literally don't miss the 200 cc that I had before. I'm not like noticing it. Granted, I am riding in town and on the highway that's not very trafficy, but at least dense of cars. So if I wanted to go flying, there isn't a lot of room for me to do that. So there is that. But I really don't feel like I'm missing much cc. I am missing those 2 cylinders because it's pretty rough. It does feel rough, but yeah, it's a really fun bike. I'm loving it.
So for the folks listening, the reason I brought up the KTM was after her bike was out of commission, a friend of hers was kind enough to lend her his bike. So,
I didn't even know the guy. He was just following me on Instagram and offered it.
oh, he's a follower. He wasn't even a friend.
Yeah. Isn't that so nice?
Wow.
I know. I'm like, well, yeah. So he has two bikes. His first bike is a Triumph Bonneville, and that's what he rides more. And he says his KTM, he says it has 700 miles on it. It's a 2020. So he says he barely rides it, and he's not going to be able to ride it until September. So he's like, I'd rather it be ridden than just sitting in the garage. So if you want to borrow it, feel free.
Okay.
I know.
How's the height? I mean, I saw you doing some videos stepping up on it. Is it higher than the Triumph, or is it about the same?
So it's supposedly the same, but it feels taller to me. Actually, I remember a couple of years ago when I was at Barber, there was a demo day, and I didn't ride the KTMs because I remember sitting on it and I was like, I am tiptoeing this. And at the time I was like, I can't ride it if I'm tiptoeing it. I'll probably drop it. So I didn't ride them that day. But now I don't do tiptoe because I learned don't do that when you're too tall. When a bike is too tall, you just do 1 foot down. Mm-hmm. And it's so much more stable. So I had no problem saying, hell yeah, I'll take your KTM 390. I don't care if it's too tall, I can handle it.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. 1 foot down, I recommend.
Perfect. Because I mean, I'm only 5'8", so I'm 5'8.5", but no one cares about that. So, but
I care.
Well, I was 5'9", but I shrank. A half an inch.
Why? Jiu-jitsu? Someone to ruin your neck?
It was either squats, like doing heavy squats, or maybe just getting old. I don't know.
How old are you?
I am 39.
You are old. No, I'm just kidding. Not old enough to be shrinking. Maybe the doctor measured you wrong.
Well, I know you can be taller in the morning when you first wake up, but I thought that was only for half an hour or something, and as soon as you walk around, your spine recompresses.
Yeah. Are you somewhere below sea level? Maybe the gravity is heavier.
Maybe that was it. Yeah.
You know how astronauts come back from space taller. So maybe you were somewhere where the gravity was heavier.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm not super tall either, and one of the things I love about my iron is that I can flat foot it.
Yeah.
But I know that if I ever go to another bike, there's a chance that I'm going to need to learn the skills that you're already working on. So
yeah. Well, what's cool about it is it's not really even a skill you need to practice. It's just a habit to practice. I practice it, and not because it was a skill, but just because it felt so unnatural to me, because I had never, that's what dirt riders do. They do 1 foot down. I'd never done that before. I'd never ridden dirt at that point, and I was so used to putting both feet down. But putting both feet down, there have been plenty of times where I've just been standing, and even flat footing, I've just dropped my bike. Literally, it was just standing there, and it just fell out. But with 1 foot down, that hasn't happened once. I haven't even come close to it, because it's just a more stable geometry to do. So even if it feels unstable or unnatural to you, you actually are more stable.
Okay. And did you learn that from Send It Steph, or was it a different person? I forget.
I think somebody just on YouTube told me check out Jocelyn Snow
Jocelyn Snow, that's what it was.
Yeah, when I was complaining about not feeling stable, tiptoeing on bikes, because I'm just shorter than everything. I'm like, can I not ride bikes? What is this? And then I just saw, I think she's less, maybe 5 foot or even less. And one of her videos was her riding huge adventure bikes. And then she shows how she does 1 foot down. She just hops right off, and she's like, and scoot your butt off to the side. I call this dog on a fire hydrant, or something like that. Yeah, and then I just kept looking that up and then finding it. I know Motojitsu did a video on that, showing that too. And then a girl on her bike, she has a video showing how she's 5'2", I think, or maybe 5'3", and she rides dirt and tall bikes. She never lowers them. And she was showing how she did that, the 1 foot down thing. And and I was like, okay, so this is how other people don't drop bikes. Well, while I do all the time. This is the secret. And just practice it until I felt used to it. And now it's just my favorite thing ever.
So what's the next skill on your list, or do you have a list of skills that you're looking to learn?
Yeah, I do. I want to work on my high speed skills, like in track days. So I'd love to do that. But I'd also want to go back to slow speed skills, because that's one of those things that if you don't use it, you lose it. And I haven't been practicing it. So I don't think I'll do as well as I did when I was doing it frequently. So I'd want to go back to that as well. Yeah.
Have you been
all the skills?
Have you been doing any trail breaking when you do your mountain rides, or?
I don't think so. And I don't think I even know what trail breaking is. That's not engine braking, is it?
No. So Moto Jitsu talks about it.
I
And I wasn't sure if you follow him too much, because there's so many people out there to watch. But
yeah, I do watch his videos though too. Yeah.
A number of them lately in the last, couple months, I think, have been talking about trail braking. It's essentially maintaining some brake pressure through the corners. And it reminds me a lot of like the relationship between the clutch and the accelerator, or the throttle, depending on if you're a car or a bike, where, as you're releasing the clutch, you're putting on gas, right? So trail braking is essentially you're starting the bulk of your braking before you enter the turn. And as you're leaning over, you're releasing the brake slowly too.
Oh, the rear brake. Or I mean
the front brake. Yeah. So you're kind of you're
I did not do that. No.
Slowly adjusting the brake as you go through the turn, and then when you get fully upright, that's when you're like fully off the brake, and then you start putting on the throttle. At least that's my understanding of it as a complete noob. So I've never done it. I've only been watching the videos because I'm still doing parking lot practice. I'm not even going through like mountain areas. So
that's great. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Staying in those parking lots, get those important skills down.
Well, what I'm trying to do is balance it. Like I'll do like little rides, like I'll ride out to the White Tanks, which is another kind of park area that's about 30 minutes from my house. But it's the longer you ride, the more unpopulated it becomes. You know what I mean? So I'm like heading out of traffic as I do that.
Yeah.
But then I also, every time I ride, I try to do some form of practice. And then once a week or so, I try to go out to a parking lot with cones and a measuring stick and like
That's
actually
good.
do the drills,
You're going to be really good.
We'll see. It's really hot. So my riding has been like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
You were here in Arizona.
Yeah. I was there in February though. So it wasn't hot.
True.
It was really nice. Do you ever wet your shirt when you go riding?
I don't wet it directly. So the sun wets it for me.
Oh.
Yeah. I just start sweating, and then when I'm like riding, because I've got a mesh jacket, and it actually funnels the airflow in a really
that feels good.
A precise way. Because it dries, the heat out here is such a dry heat that usually moisture just like goes right off you, so the jacket kind of traps the moisture in the shirt against your skin until the wind hits it, and then it gets really cool. So it actually almost feels like air conditioning as you're riding.
Yeah, that's what I've started doing whenever I ride home from work, is wetting my shirt in the sink with cold water. And it really does feel like AC whenever you start moving, like
until it dries.
Yeah, my ride home isn't too long though, so it's usually still a little damp by the time I get home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then do you hang your jacket outside or something?
I don't. Well, because I don't wet my jacket, I just wet my shirt underneath. So by the time I get home, I'm mostly dry. Just a little. My shirt itself is just a little damp on spots, mostly on my back. So I won't. I guess I'll drape it over a chair for a little bit, but it's not as wet really. Mostly the shirt, and then my pants. The water kind of goes down to my pants too.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to hang mine outside just because even though the jacket doesn't seem like it's really staying very wet, I still remember all my jiu-jitsu gis.
Oh yeah.
And it's like once they start to smell, it's hard to get them back to a place where they don't. Yeah. So I've been trying to be more proactive. Like, let's not wait until this jacket smells bad.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's good thinking. Air it out first. Yes. I'm glad you said that actually, because now I'll make sure to do that more.
I mean, you may not need it. I don't know. I mean, it's
No, I do sweat. Yeah. I'm not perfect, unfortunately. I have sweat glands.
well, I mean, back years ago when I was working out a lot, I didn't used to really sweat that much, even running. And my ex-wife used to sweat constantly, and she was in way better cardiovascular shape than I was. But she would just naturally sweat a lot when she ran. So, different people's anatomy is different. So it's like, if you're not really sweating through your jacket, then maybe you don't need it. But me, like, I take it off and it's not wet, but I can feel that I've been in there,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Before we go, do you have any kind of sponsorships or anything or do you want people to follow you somewhere? Like, are you trying to grow an Instagram or anything like that? Like,
yeah, that'd be great. Instagram. I haven't been too on top of my Instagram for a while until more recently, just posting on it more. So yeah, if I can get to at least 10,000 followers on Instagram, that'd be great. So I can post links to videos there. I'm not there yet, but yeah, follow me on Instagram, help me out there. And then on YouTube, if you like videos about what it's like to be a girl rider and funny things about that, then you'll like it too. So,
and what is your what do they call them, handles? What do you call it on Instagram?
Yeah,
a name?
Yeah, handles. Yeah, Doodle on a motorcycle.
Okay, so Doodle on a motorcycle for both of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Good talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you'd like to learn more about Doodle on a Motorcycle, you can find her on Instagram at Doodle on a Motorcycle and also on YouTube at Doodle on a Motorcycle. If you'd like to learn about upcoming guests and get some more information about past guests, you can follow me on Instagram at The Modern Squid, or you can visit our website at themodernsquid.com. Thanks again. Have a good one.